Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another 2 vs 2 in Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD. And this is a pretty unique battle because we've all decided to go for factions that people don't normally play very often. So we're hopefully going to see, some units that don't really get showcased on YouTube channels very much. It is a Tier 1 battle as well, so there will be no Tier 2 or Tier 3 infantry. It's all early period. It was pretty low funds. I think the funding was about 12k. So hopefully you guys enjoy this battle, and let's take a look at the army comps. The first army in today's battle is the mighty Kingdom of Georgia, and this one is commanded by myself. And I believe that I've shown Georgia in one of my videos before, but that's it. They have not been in any other videos, so I decided to choose them today. They've got a pretty decent roster for Tier 1 infantry. So starting with my archers, I've got 4 units of these Metskinovan archers. And they're just, again, all of these infantry is Tier 1, so a lot of them are going to be pretty lightly armored. And I've got 3 units of these Cartlian spearmen. So they're just going to help out with the cavalry charges and hold the front lines. And then in behind I've got 3 units of these Kevser, I think that's how you pronounce it, Kevser swordsmen. And they've got a lot of chainmail, which is good, but they've got the buckler shield, so they're probably going to have a little bit lower of a missile block. You can see that their missile block is average, but they are eager, ready for battle, and I've got 7 units of the Tezruli swordsmen. Now, these guys are my most elite swords, and they look pretty cool. I really like the color scheme on them. Some of them actually have these curved swords as well to fight with, which is really cool. And a couple of other ones actually fighting with really nice one-handed axes, as you can see right here. So it's some nice detail. I really like the detail that's gone into this faction. And they also all have these red capes as well. So they kind of remind me of the Spathroid Guard from the Latin Empire. But strangely Crusader, but at the same time Eastern faction. You can see some of them bearing kind of the cross of the Hospitallers there. Or that kind of looks like the St. John's Ambulance cross. But my General's Bodyguard over here, I've got the Manaspa Guard. I think this is the only General's Bodyguard that Georgia can bring. But there's my General there. And it's a pretty heavy bow cavalry, so I can get some good charges. They do have a good charge bonus and really good speed. So we can kind of fire our arrows as we move into targets and then pull out after the charge and then be firing again at the hopefully outrunning the heavier cavalry that the attackers may be bringing. And I've got 3 units of this Tezruli, so again, it's the same as my elite infantry, but they are just mounted. And I've got 2 units over here kind of on this slope, and then I've got another unit to the right of my General's Bodyguard, just in case I need them. So that is the Kingdom of Georgia, so let's go ahead and take a look at my ally. The next army we have to take a look at is my ally. He is playing as the Kingdom of Antioch, or the Principality of Antioch, and this is commanded by Hohen Master. And the Principality of Antioch, a lot of you guys may be saying that they're pretty similar to the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but as a matter of fact, they just aren't as well balanced as the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and they are lacking some key units to their roster. So that's why they're kind of noted as a faction that not many people play, because if you want a Crusader faction, many people will just decide to play as Jerusalem instead of Antioch. But they've got some decent units, especially for Tier 1 battles. They've got some solid archers here. We've got 4 units of the Foot Turcopoles, or Turcopoles. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I'd imagine it's just Turcopoles. And then on either flank, Hohen, he's got 4 units, 2 on each flank of the Armenian auxiliaries, which is a medium melee infantry. And then right in the center, he's got 6 units of these dismounted Fratres Milites Templi. In behind, he's got 3 units of Nestorian infantry, so he's also bringing 3 units of spears. Just kind of to bolster the lines. They can form spear wall as well, just like my Georgian spears. And then for his cavalry, his General's Bodyguard here is the Prince of Antioch, and look how nice this guy looks. Very flashy. A lot of silver crosses there on his sewn into his chainmail there. But that is the general, and then for his archers, Hohen's actually going with a bow cav force. So he's bringing 3 units of these Turcopoles. So I'd expect he's probably going to do a lot of kiting against the enemy. But that is pretty much Hohen Master's army. I don't think I left anything out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the enemy armies. The first enemy army that we're going to take a look at in today's battle is the Cilician Armenia, and this is commanded by Hamdog CDXX. And he's got his tiered defense set up, as you guys will be able to see if I zoom out. Classic positioning for most of his units. But in the front lines, he's got about 4 units of these Azat archers. And then in behind that, he's got 3 units of these spear sergeants. And then over here on the flank, he actually has a 4 spear unit, and I do want to show you these guys. These guys actually look really cool. These are Armenian heavy spearmen. And I just love the different colorations on their shields and such. And even their uniforms that they're wearing too. Like some of them have like that green and red uniform, some of the white and red, some of the brown and red. So really, really nice looking units there. And then he has his heavy infantry split into 2 lines. He has 6 units total, with 3 in the first line and 3 in the second line of these Armenian heavy infantry. And it looks like they're in shield wall as well. And then we've got an axe unit as well that he's bringing. These guys look very lightly armored. They're just Highlanders. Some of them actually are only fighting with wooden staffs, which is pretty cool. But I'd imagine that they could still wreck someone with that staff. They're probably like Shaolin monks. They're just crazily trained with that staff to cause a lot of damage, even against an armored opponent. But for the general's bodyguard, he's got the Nekar Guard, and it is triple gold chevron upgrades, so this general should be a pretty solid foe on the battlefield. And then for his cav, how many does he have? Does he have one over here? Yeah, he's got an Armenian heavy cavalry over there. Looks like all 3 are Armenian heavy cavalry, so actually bringing melee cav to the fight. Now, I think that the Cilician Armenia doesn't actually have any shock cavs, so that's why he's bringing this cavalry to the battle. But I believe that's all for Hamdog's force, so let's go ahead and take a look at the last opponent, and then we'll get the battle started. The last army we have to take a look at is the Ayyubid Sultanate, and this is commanded by Max Laser. And the Ayyubid Sultanate you do, again, see from time to time because they are pretty solid as far as the eastern factions go, but not many people usually play them in a land battle setting because their entire roster is tier 1 only. So it's good that he's brought them for this land battle. He can kind of have a little bit of a level playing field as everybody else is bringing tier 1 units as well. But these guys are definitely a force to be reckoned with. He has a unit of Gulam Foot Guard. They are so solid as both a heavy bow unit and an infantry unit. They can hold their own in open combat against most units, I would say. So really solid that he's bringing one of them to the battle. But his other 2 archers are just basic Arath archers, but they still look pretty cool. And then he's got some spears kind of littered in throughout his ranks. I think he has one of these Beja tribal spearmen. And on the hot sand, they're not even wearing shoes, so that's really gotta suck. But I think on either flank, he's got a unit of Nubian spears as well. And again, these guys really colorful. I love kind of the leopard print shields here. You can tell that they're made of animal skins, but the Ayyubids definitely drawing from probably their satrapies to bring, you know, some heavier numbers to the battlefield. And then we've got 2 units of these Takla swordsmen. And in behind, we've got 2 units of the Takla axemen. And I think his general is on foot over here. Yes, he is. He's got the Mameluke Tabateria. And these guys are really solid in melee. And if I zoomed it a little bit too far there's the general's bodyguard. And this guy looks like he would be holding a flag, but he doesn't have one, funnily enough. Oh, yes, and I was about to go to the cab, but I forgot he is bringing a naft thrower as well. So that, if used effectively, could get quite a decent amount of kills. And then for his cavalry, he's got 2 units of the Askari Nobles, which is a shock cav unit. And then the other 2 units he brought are in the trees over here, and they are the Junior Ghulam. So I guess they haven't joined the Ghulam Foot Guard just yet. So they're probably comprised of very young archers. But yes, Max Laser, he was able to bring 4 cavalry units because his general is on foot. But yeah, it's very cool that they're kind of holding this hill. So yeah, I think that about does it for the army comps. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see, Hohen Master being very aggressive with his Turco-Poles, pushing into the Junior Ghulam that are hiding over here in the trees. Now the Junior Ghulam will be able to fire back at these Turco-Poles, but they are pretty outnumbered at with 3 cavalry units to 2. So Max Laser may want to withdraw them from the forest, but the battle should be underway in the center as well. You can see that we are working really hard to kind of capture this center position here. And I'd just like to pause it and just zoom out so we can kind of see what the terrain is here. So basically, on either side, we have these little dunes here with a pretty even terrain that the armies kind of deploy in. But we've got this little cluster of hills that are kind of in the center here with some little pathways in between. And I think that really makes it very diverse and a very fun battlefield to play on. Because it kind of forces you to come off the hill to try to get this terrain advantage early on. And you can see that I've already snuck a good number of my units into the trees over here. That's to hopefully surprise the Cilician Armenian infantry and cavalry once they engage with my main force. Meanwhile, I've already pretty much conquered the hill in the center, but Max Laser is pushing very strongly with his Ghulam Foot Guard and a lot of his spears to try to conquer the other half of it. Meanwhile, Hohen Master over here is already beginning to fire with his foot Turco-Poles. And again, putting a lot of pressure on the Junior Ghulam over here, who have taken only a few casualties. Meanwhile, it looks like the Turco-Poles actually taking a ton of casualties. So I guess the Junior Ghulam a little bit better than the Turco-Poles. Yeah, look at this very poor missile block chance versus an average missile block chance. So it's quite possible that I was wrong, and Max Laser may have the advantage here after all. He also does have a bit of a terrain advantage as well. But I just wanted to pause it because Max Laser is the one who finds most of my really unique battle maps to play on. So I really appreciate that, Max. It really makes it a little bit more fun and a little bit less dry to watch the same kind of map style every time. So I do appreciate that. But let's go ahead and start the battle once again. It's only 16 minutes long. I've got my units into shield wall already, and you can see we've got the Nubian spearmen pushing forwards. Got some dismounted Askari nobles coming forwards as well. Now, Hamdog CDXX, he wants to use his Azad archers in that little stand of trees to his advantage, but I'm going to go ahead and aid Hohen Master against Max Laser's Ayyubid force while I can, kind of 2v1 him a little bit here, because it doesn't look like they're going to get much support from the Cilician Armenia. And yeah, I'm targeting my archers over here, kind of picking apart these spears before we push into melee. But these spears are not going to be really any worry for my heavy swords over here. As you can see, we're just picking them apart. And if we zoom in over here, we've also got some of the Askari nobles, but I am moving forwards in shield wall, and this Ghulam Foot Guard's actually obstructed. They're not able to fire right now, which is a problem. Meanwhile, I found some prime targets for my archers. I've refocused them onto these axes, because axes typically do have a pretty low missile block. And if I can get rid of these elite axes early on in the game, that would be better for me. Yeah, you could just hear the arrows coming in. But yeah, it looks like Max Laser, he is pushing forwards. He's got some of his dismounted Askari nobles also in shield wall. So a nice shield wall battle going on here. And really nice colors in this battle too. This is a nice kind of sunset It's hard to really explain, but like the sunset seems to bring out the nicest colors in the units. Whereas if it's really bright day, sometimes they get pretty shiny. Let's take a look at what's going on with Hoenn Master's side over here. So yeah, looks like Max Laser's really supporting his flank over here, and the Turcopoles are actually caught in melee and breaking. However, these poor spears are just getting ripped apart from Hoenn Master's superior ranged advantage. Even the Adath archers over here taking a fair few casualties. Looks like the June swords are in shield wall, and they're going to start moving forwards into battle as well. And we've also got a unit that's starting to flank around, the Askari nobles, so they're going to try and get in behind my Tazruli swords, which really wouldn't be good for me. I think I have to recall this unit of cavalry over to this flank. But yeah, I'm more than happy to just allow my Cartlian spearmen to just get mowed down. To be honest, I didn't really need them that much. I brought forward this unit of cavalry because Hamdog is now going to have to withdraw his Azad archers. He was a little bit far from his spear line, and because they're in spear wall, they are a little bit slower to react. So I'm getting a little bit of respite, I would say, to move my spears into a closer position. But yeah, you can hear that they're going for my general. That's because I'm being very aggressive with my general. You can see these dismounted Askari nobles here are not in shield wall. And I'm also getting some good fire with my Manaspa guard, sorry. Just because he is a bow cavalry unit, so I do want to kind of use that to my advantage. But looks like Max Laser did realize that they were not in shield wall, so he has put them into shield wall. I just want to jump over here very quickly and show you guys, that the Takla Axemen are actually starting to waver, just from the amount of archer fire I've subjected them to. Let's zoom in just a little bit and kind of see them in melee against my heavy swords. We got the Turkish flag in the mix as well. That looks really cool. And here we go. I think that Hamdog is lending support over here, though. No, I'm sorry. That's the Askari nobles from Max Laser's force. So he was trying to get a side charge on my Tazruli swords. But my Tazruli swords, I was actually surprised at how solid they were for a tier 1 unit. But they are just battling these very basic spears, so I guess it's not too hard of a job for them at this point. But these are Armenian heavy spearmen. So yes, Hamdog is trying to help on this flank, offering a bit of support and also covering Max Laser's flank over here. But yeah, my general, my Manaspa guard, again, just firing down on these Askari nobles. But over here, it looks like we're starting to get some units being pushed in over here against the Fratres Milites Templi. These poor Beja tribal spearmen are just getting destroyed. But again, I think they are like 100 gold. Like, they're super cheap spears. But here we go. It looks like we got the Askari nobles pushing into melee as well. Not all of them pushing into melee, though. Yeah, let's make sure that we're not missing anything else on the battlefield here. Yes, so he's found our concealed units. So Hamdog CDXX being very smart here, he's actually pushed his Armenian cavalry up close to this hill, and he's discovered all of my hidden units. So at that point, I just put them into shield wall, and I'll move them down the slopes and just create a longer battle line here. My cav, I'm just going to have sit there for just a minute. I'm also bringing this other unit of cavalry over to support in case I need it, because Hamdog has almost all of his cavalry over on this flank. But he hasn't pushed in the center yet, so again, that's really helping me to overwhelm Max Laser's forces here. He has these Takla Axemen that have pushed in from the flanks, but I should be able to get a good rear charge on them with my general's bodyguard. Yeah, here comes the thunder as they charge in. And there we go. Yeah, just breaking them off the battlefield. So hopefully they will not return. Let's try and get a better angle here. Yeah, you can see the Ascari nobles are now kind of in melee against my general's bodyguard, and as we pull out, we're just firing more and more arrows into the back of this poor unit. There, you can see in the distance, the Taklaxmen are actually retreating. I think they've broken for good. But yeah, another unit of Ascari nobles have broken. Over here, it's a little bit concerning, though. You can see Hamdog CDXX lending some more support. He's actually going after my archers with his Armenian heavy cavalry here. And I did not have... I quickly pulled my other unit of Tezruli back. And hopefully I will be able to save my poor archers from an almost certain fate here. Really good positioning as well. He spread out his unit of cavalry very wide, so it actually caught 3 of my units in melee. But here comes my Tezruli swordsman to save the day. But my archers are pretty much getting wiped out anyways from Hamdog's archers. The Adath archers, I think they were called, or Azrat or something. Yeah, the Azad archers. You can see that they're pretty much full health with still half ammo. But he actually has pushed his units in now. So we've got this nice little spear wall here, but I'm going to push my 3 units of Kevzer swordsmen to aid my spears, because they have actually taken a lot of fire as it is. But yeah, they are fighting on this battle line here. I'm zoning out most of Hamdog's cavalry because I've got these 3 units of infantry here. So he's really not able to capitalize on his cavalry advantage at this point. And at this point here, the Mamluk Tabateria are actually in melee against my Kevzer swordsman. But yeah, here's my general as well. Hohenmaster, he did have a little bit of a battle line, but it's mostly a skirmish fight over here, so I didn't really... focus too much on it, but my general's bodyguard actually collapsing a lot of these archers that are just trying to mow down a lot of the Templi from the Principality of Antioch. However, we do have the general, the Prince of Antioch, over here fighting against the Ascari nobles, and that's a pretty precarious situation, because although Hohenmaster does have a lot of his army left, a loss of a general could be detrimental, especially in a land battle. In a siege, you can kind of rely on the morale boosts of the town center and the capture points, but in a land battle, the only thing that's really keeping the morale of your army high is the general's bodyguard, and he's outnumbered right now. Looks like Hohenmaster is focusing with his archers on the Ascari nobles. So hopefully he won't kill his own general, but it looks like he is effectively breaking one of the units. I would actually send this unit of spears, though, this Nestorian infantry over to help out. But yeah, there goes all of Max's archers at this point. They've pretty much been broken for good. But over here, yeah, my poor infantry just cannot handle 4 units here, especially the Mamluk Tabateria. This is my cheaper unit of swords. So yeah, they're having a tough time. But they're serving their purpose in the fact that they're holding the enemy back for now, which is really what I needed them for. Just holding back all of these units. But here we go. We got a little 1v1 here, so we can kind of focus in on this for now. We're just doing a lot of the same block move. But yeah, I think that's my men that are breaking. Yes, it is. But that's okay. The general is actually down to half strength, and I actually broke his other unit of Thakla swordsmen as well. But the battle line is very much underway over here. Hamdog has sent a lot of his Armenian heavy infantry into the battle, and my spears are starting to thin out. I believe I will send this other unit of Kevzer swordsmen into battle very soon to offer some more support. But on the flanks, let's see what's going on over here. Yeah, so it looks like Hamdog is getting a little bit of a defensive approach over here. He's got his Armenian heavy spears forming up as I bring my Tezruli swords in. And he's also got another unit of Armenian heavy infantry. He's just building a kind of a screen for his archers so that they're mostly safe. But unfortunately, he has to pull a lot of his cavalry over here because I'm bringing my cavalry around from the other side to actually go after his archers. So we'll go ahead and put this on regular speed, and here we go. I do see that the other unit of cavalry is coming through, but hopefully a couple of them can get past and stop that unit from firing, and it looks like they have. And now this Armenian heavy cavalry is pretty much tied up this unit. But I feel confident, like you guys know, I feel confident in 12-12 that Shock Cav can outdo Melee Cav any day. I guess it does kind of depend on the situation, but I find that in Attila, I can see the value of having Melee Cav, but in 12-12, just every situation where I brought Melee Cav, they just have not performed the way that I want them to. And I just think that the reason for that is that the Shock Cavalry, with their charge, it kind of mitigates any buff that the Melee Cav would have against cavalry. So I don't know, because I don't know. As you can see right here, the Tezruli, yeah, I've lost 6 men and he's only lost 1. But because these ones, oh, they don't have an extra. They don't have an extra bonus against cavalry, but average charge bonus, it says. But these guys have good morale and good armor, so I don't know. Everybody's different, I guess. But yeah, I've got another unit of cav over here fighting the general, and I've tied up his other unit of melee cav with my Tezruli as well. And as you can see, that melee cav is not performing very well against the shock cavalry. And yeah, here comes my general's bodyguard, actually just getting destroyed, though, by these archers. So Hamdog's archers really focusing down my general to try to protect their lives. I am just going to charge him into battle to try to silence these archers for now. But, Hohen Master, he is bringing most of his forces over to help me out, and he's also going to be saving my cavalry over here. But yeah, that was the Max Laser's general who has fallen. But my battle line is thinning, as you guys can see. A lot of my spears have broken. But on this flank, I'm actually doing very well against the... What are these? The Armenian heavy spearmen. But then at the same time, these Highlanders are actually doing really well against my swords. Even though they kind of look like plebs. Let's see them fight with their staffs here. A little bit of lag going on as well. Oh, and my general died, yeah. Oh, much must be risked in war. Just pop that to slow motion. I don't really get it. Some battles in Attila seem to just perform so well, and then other battles not so much. Like, this battle is not even on large armies, it's just regular armies. And it seems to be struggling a little bit, but... yeah, so these Highlanders actually breaking my unit. Which is really solid. They're shaken still, though. I don't think I have any other units that are not in melee. No, I do not. But yes, here we go. Over here I've got a nice charge that's going to come in against the backs of all of these spear sergeants. Nice charge in there. And over here, I think some of the infantry for the Principality of Antioch is kind of just resting up. I guess they feel that I don't need any help over here. Not exactly sure, but the Armenian heavy infantry are picking apart my Tezruli infantry.
A unit has used all available ammunition.
But there we go. The Armenian heavy cavalry over here has been broken. Looks like the Highlanders are going to flank around against my swords, which could be a little bit of a problem. Just trying to get the best angle to see that in. That would be such a terrifying sight to see these massive axemen coming in from behind you. So yeah, good flank there by Hamdog's forces. But unfortunately, I just don't think that it's going to be enough to turn the tide now that Max Laser has been driven from the battlefield. Again, he is a new player. He's a lot better at Attila than he is at 12-12. I think this was his second battle ever played, so... yeah, but yeah, we started actually with about 80 men less than the enemies. But we have 1,800 men now to their 1,000, so it's looking pretty good for us. That being said, though, most of my army is actually pretty close to being destroyed, so I'm really relying on Hohen Master and his pretty healthy force to come and help me. But there we go. Look at this shock cavalry, unaided. 50 out of 60 still left, so they lost 10. And I broke that melee cav unit. So, I don't know. Make of that what you will, but it looks like the Armenian heavy infantry is going to try and get my cavalry caught in melee once again. I don't think I was focusing on this part of the battlefield. I was really looking more at my front line and being a little concerned about my front line over here. But we got, what do we got here? Some Armenian auxiliaries in wedge formation, so they're going to be charging right into the backs of these spear sergeants here. Nice. Just getting the shoulder bash in as they charge in. And I think we can turn it back to regular speed. But yeah, a lot of death on this battlefield, which is always what I like to see. And nobody holding out. Like, I think that having these little strategic positions in the center of the map really forces you to think more aggressively. Because too often, if you got a map like this and the deployment zone was up here, the players would just be sitting up here and waiting for the ones on the lower ground to come to them. But here it kind of gives you some incentive to push forwards and actually try to take these hills in the center. And as you can see, it was a pretty big scrap for them, especially over here as well. There's a lot of bodies littered everywhere. Got some stray cavalry without their owners running into the distance. Very, very nice. But yeah, Hamdog, he's pulling back with what's left of his army to try and get a final stand. But in doing so, he's abandoning the rest of his Armenian swords that have been bravely fighting in this battle. But yeah, the Armenians did do pretty well in their battle line against me. Granted, I was kind of picked apart by his archers, and I really didn't expect my spears to win. I just wanted them to hold. But I don't know what this unit's doing. It looks like he's pulling back this unit of Armenian heavy infantry as well. So he does have a few units that are going to make it back to his final stand. And there we go. Looks like the Armenian spears are broken. Oh, nice. Just finishing off the last couple of them. Oh, we've actually got a couple other ones that are still here. But yeah, my infantry is just rushing forwards now. I really don't want to give the Armenians kind of this better positioning here. So I'm going to group up all of my forces. I'm going to run down these spear sergeants so they do not return to the battle. And it looks like Hohen's running down with his Armenian auxiliaries. He's going to run down the Armenian heavy infantry. And actually, you know what's funny, too? I actually didn't even put the 2 and 2 together here, but we've got some Armenian auxiliaries fighting Armenia. So, yeah, it looks like a couple of the units would rather fight for the Principality of Antioch than for their own people. But we're down to the last minute of the battle now. And we've got some Armenian heavy infantry here in Shield Wall. We've got some of the Highlanders are still alive. They got 45 kills under their belt, so that's pretty solid for this really light axe unit. But I'm bringing most of my forces over to the flank because it looks like the Principality of Antioch is moving their men from the center before they push in to attack this final position. And that actually looks really cool, with all the men charging up for the final battle. And most of my men are coming over here, and it looks like the general's bodyguard's actually going to be coming down the slopes against them. I quickly try to get them into shield wall, but I don't really think it's going to help them in time. Oh my goodness, no. Just decimates my forces. And probably, I think that does break a few, actually. Yeah, look at all the wavering going on. About to break 3 of my units with that one charge from the Nakar Guard. So well done there with that last charge. And there we go. That's the end of the battle. Close victory. So let's take a look at the results. So starting with my force here. So my general, 273 kills, which is really solid. The spears, again, not really doing too much. Neither did the cheaper infantry, but my Tezruli swordsmen actually doing really solid. 229 by this unit here. And one of my archers, 139, and my cavalry doing pretty well. Looking at Hohen Master. Again, spears not so much, but these Armenian auxiliaries actually looked like they performed really well, which is kind of funny. And the Milites Templi also pretty average. Really high kills, though, with the archers here. The Turcopoles getting decent kills. The Turcopoles, the mounted ones, though, not so much, because they kind of got caught in melee early on and slaughtered by the Junior Gulam. But looking at Max Laser's forces, 86 from his Mamelukes, that's not bad. Pretty low kills from everyone else. Even the Gulam Foot Guard not getting too many kills. It's just because they were outranged, basically, by the Foot Turcopoles here. The Naf Thrower's 85 kills, though. That's really good. And his Junior Gulam's doing pretty solid. And the Cilician Armenia, 128 from the general. And the Armenian Heavy Swords, yeah, actually not performing as well as the ones under Hohen Master's command. But the Highlanders, 48 kills, which is good, and decent kills on his archers. He got a lot of kills on my men. And this unit of Cav did pretty solidly as well. So thanks very much for joining me, guys, in this battle. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content in the future. And for those of you guys that are still here, I am actually, in a few days, I'll be posting a video. I'm going to be hosting a Medieval Kingdoms 12-12 tournament. It is for my 1,000 subscriber special, this tournament, but I will be starting it once I hit 900 subscribers. I'm hoping for 16 players, and so far only 2 are confirmed. So if you would like to join, I'll leave a link in my Discord server, because that's where I'm going to be coordinating everything with. But yeah, you can leave your name and your time zone in the comments, and I can just revert you over to my Discord. But if that's something that you would like to join into, you definitely can. And whoever is the winner of the tournament will also receive a free copy of the Thrones of Britannia that will be coming out at the end of April. So a little bit of incentive there for you guys to join in. Again, hopefully you enjoyed this battle, and I will see you in the next one.